Um, First of all, congratulations on the new record. It's a beauty.
Oh, thanks, John. No, it's always a pleasure to get a record out. It can take a fair bit of work, but I always remind myself that I'm not making a movie. So that kind of puts things in perspective. And plus, I love getting them out because then you can think about the next one. So yes,
Yeah.
thank you on the congratulatory praise.
Without ever really breaking into the mainstream in a commercial way, you've managed to tick along with a career in music spanning, I guess, close to 25 years now, and many musicians would envy that. What's your golden rule of survival?
Blind, drunk stupidity. Look, I can't do anything else. I think that's probably what, there has been many times, not lately, not the last maybe 4 or 5 years, but there were many times prior when the kids were really young and stuff like that, when I thought, oh my God, what am I doing? I'm just not making a cracker here. And not that I make a serious buck out of it either these days, but I've maybe got the balance a little bit better these days. But yeah, look, if I probably could have gone off and been a digger of fine holes, then I would have.
Reading about some of the songs on this record and their initial inspirations, you sound like somebody who's always got their songwriter's radar up and about, looking for ideas.
Yeah. Look, I think it's just a habit these days. I started writing songs, I suppose, even before I could play an instrument. I would write lyrics to other people's songs and things like that I just kind of thought was natural. I thought everybody must do this kind of this stuff. And so it has become kind of just the way I go about things. Although I don't really, I used to kind of write a lot more. These days I just tend to get an idea for a song, let's say, and perhaps I'll marry it with a chord progression I might already have, or I'll look for a melodic or rhythmic vehicle, let's say, to put that idea in, and a lot of the times I'll just kind of sing. I'll just get in front of the computer, the recording device, whatever it is, and just sing, and edit it down later. So yeah, I don't tend to kind of write longhand too much anymore. But excuse me, the radar is always up, much to my detriment. But I mean, it's just look. It's the way I remember things. I like writing songs that don't go anywhere except as a little gift from me to someone else, like I suppose songs once would have been. So yeah, there's many different types of songs, and you try and write them all.
Tell us about the house down there in the Western Districts, where a lot of the creation of this record took place.
It was a friend of a friend, and we went there on the way back from Adelaide once. On the way from Adelaide to Melbourne, and we arrived at night, and it wasn't. There was a house. It's an old sheep homestead, so it's got plenty of room for a large household to live in. There'd be 5 or 6 double bedrooms and all of long hallways and dining rooms upon dining rooms and extra lounge rooms, and so it just the owner of the house was really generous and said, look, I'd love for you guys to come back and use this space and record here, and so we did demos at that house, and then made the decision at that time, yes, to go back and record properly and go through all the logistical kind of schematic type drawings. So I've been gardening all morning. I just got grass seeds in my mouth. Just hang on a sec.
No worries. That's all right.
So once. Yes, because we're 4 hours away from anywhere, more or less, if something broke down. So we had to take 2 of everything, and but it was beautiful. We were really well looked after. We just had an incredible, very creative very creative time, and it was hard work when we got back to Melbourne, because we kind of had to sift through all of what we'd done and match it, just to finish the record off. So it was easily by far the most enjoyable aspect of the recording process.
So, in general terms, do you find it an advantage to be taken away from your regular environment and surrounds to create?
John, sorry, can you say that again? I'm sorry about this.
That's
so unprofessional.
In general terms, do you normally find it an advantage to be away from your regular environment and your surrounds to be able to create like that?
Well, it's kind of the first time I've done it. I do lots of demos in the bungalow, and I feel very comfortable when it's just me on my own kind of doing it, because it gives me the scope to make mistakes, and boy, I make the most of that scope. So I am, and look, from experience, I have generally been kind of freaked out by recording studios. I think I'm just a nerdish guy at heart, John, and that's why. So they can, those situations I would like to tend to avoid. God damn. But what was the question, John?
I think you've already answered it. That's all right.
Oh, good. That's good.
The reviews have been glowing, and I've seen quotes ranging from calling it your masterpiece and others.
Oh, no, I think I was bullshitting when I said that. Other people can say that. It just sounds a little bit weird when I say it.
Did you come away, though, just the same from the recording of this record, feeling that you did have something that was that special?
Well, yeah. we had because we had Davey Lane playing on the record from Your Mind, and Matty Vale, who was in Claire Bowditch's band. We, it kind of felt like we had these two incredible strikers, let's call it, to use a sporting, metaphor, whatever, analogy. And throughout the songwriting process, I was kind of aware that I would have these people playing on these songs. So I wrote a lot of songs with choruses and with hooks and all that stuff. And look, I was very, very pleased at the time. I'm very pleased now. It was Blue Atlas, the previous record, was a really good record for me. Got me lots of great reviews and great airplay, and I got to play it a lot around the country. So it was not a good idea to follow it up with a poor record. So I was a little bit anxious, when I started, I suppose. I can't really remember, but to try and follow up that record with 12 great songs, if you think, well, I'm just going to write 12 great songs, I think I'd be dead in the water. But I just tried to write lots of songs, and I would write them about anything at all, and in very many different ways, with different people, start the songs different ways, and any idea will do, and so gradually I got about 40 songs together, and so I figure out of 40 you can get about 12. We took 20 away to record, and had a bash at about 16 of them, and eventually kind of ran out of time, and the 12 ended up on the record.
Would you say this scenario you've got now with the Shibagos is probably the best setup you've had? You've got that feel of still being part of a band, but it's your work, they're your songs, so there is still that solo artist element, but that you're not playing the stripped-down singer-songwriter role. Still got the best of both worlds you got there. Yeah.
Look, I am very lucky in that regard. I mean, I can still play those solo stripped-down gigs and make a little bit of money kind of each week. But it's great to have this opportunity to go away and make these big records and be able to play with this band when the opportunity arises. Look, it took me a while to kind of maneuver myself into that situation. I'm pretty happy. I'm very happy with where I am at the moment musically. That's for sure.
Talk about some of the songs. The title track, for example, inspired by something as simple as a photograph. Can you tell us about that one?
Sorry, John, what song was that?
The title track.
Oh, okay, Walk This Ocean. Sorry, I didn't catch that. A friend of mine, Stu Spence, is a photographer, and he had an exhibition of all his work. A series of his work, and he invited songwriters and musicians such as myself, and also there were there was the odd dramatist involved and filmmaker to as it were accompany his photos, and that they're all kind of blurry works. So when I say accompany, you'd go into the gallery and you'd see this photograph, Walk This Ocean, and you would put the headphones on and you would hear, the song Walk This Ocean. However, when I wrote that song for Stu, it was about 40 seconds long. It was maybe just the first verse of what we have now. It was me, an acoustic guitar, and a little bit more kind of forlorn and introspective. But it got a good reaction from everyone, and I really enjoyed it, and I enjoyed expanding upon it and adding characters to it. And then when it came time to record, I'll never mow the lawn again before an interview, John. Oh, God. When it came time to record, we did a version of it that was kind of like a Muscle Shoals type scenario, all very Dan Penn, Spooner Oldham kind of groove to it, and we kind of sat on that for a few hours and got through it and recorded a couple of versions of it like that, and then just as an afterthought, and this is a rare thing for me to do, but I mean that this is one of the reasons why I wanted to go away with the band and record as a band, so we could do things like this where I said at the end of that period of making it kind of sound very soulful and slow, kind of country soul, I said, perhaps let's it's 3 chords, let's have a go at it, like imagine the Stooges were doing it or something. So that's how it ended up becoming what we hear now. And I really enjoyed it. I think the upbeat brashness of it supported supported those lyric when the lyric when those other characters kind of waltz into the song that that don't really sound like they're the full quid. So yeah, that's how that song came about. Just a photograph by a friend, and off you go. Doesn't take much.
There is a track there that pays more than just a passing nod musically to an old Vander and Young classic, and I couldn't put my finger on it at first, but soon enough the penny dropped. Tell us about that track, Save.
Oh, Save.
Yeah.
And it's wholesale lifting of Hey St. Peter. Look, I'm a big Flash in the Pan fan. Vander and Young fan, really. And it just, I don't know, I was just having fun. The moment I wrote that chorus, I thought, this is Flash, this is Hey St. Peter. But I was really, happy to go with it. Everybody realizes what I'm doing. Everybody of a particular vintage realizes what I'm doing. Mm-hmm. And yeah, look, if it makes $1 million one day, I'm sure Albert's will be on the phone. But until then, it just seemed like a good vehicle again to put that scenario that I can write very long-winded songs. I do like songs that go on a bit and songs that don't necessarily, if it feels as though they should ramble, then I'm very happy to let them loose. So that song, for your listeners, understanding, kind of starts in St Kilda here with a relatively kind of factual series of events. Actually, they're all vaguely factual, the things that take place in St Kilda and then in Spain and then in London. I suppose it's that thing that if the real life just starts to sound a little bit boring, then you just start to lay it on a little bit too thick, just like most people would do, I suppose, in conversation.
Now, I believe we can attribute a songwriting credit to your son on one of the tracks.
You'll have to ask longer questions so I can drink more water. Yeah, Elliot, my son, I don't know how happy he is for me to blather on about him, but he would have been 12, it was about a year ago, so he would have been 12, and he was out the back here on the piano playing, and I was, probably mowing the bloody lawn, and he was playing this beautiful chord progression, and I asked him what that was, and he said, I don't know, and I'm just, I realized that it was his, and I asked if I could record it, and I've just made a little loop of it, and sat on it for a long time trying to figure out what, if I suppose it's what I do most of the time when the music comes first. I just try and imagine, going to see this show or watching this thing on TV or a film clip or anyway, just kind of visualizing, seeing, visualizing how someone would play it live. And if I was hearing those opening chords, I would think, well, what's next? What is this person going to talk about that they can talk about, and whatever they're talking about is giving more weight. Is given more weight by what is happening behind them musically, so that they don't have to, they don't have to spell it out completely. Sometimes they can leave it a little bit open-ended, but given that vehicle, what would you put inside? Would it be a blonde with a short dress, or would it be some fat guy with a cigar? So it's that kind of decisions that I tend to kind of have to make when writing a song, and look, they don't come quickly. This is where it gets a little bit kind of compulsive, obsessive, in that I do kind of sit on these things for a while until I feel comfortable that, this is the thing. And again, I like coming up with songs that you can put anything into it, as you can, that Swing Bridge and Save, could have had a raft of 20 other characters.
Yeah.
Swing Bridge could have had a raft in it. So yeah.
Mm. Both your sons are musically inclined. If they choose music as a career option, is there anything you'd be sure to tell them that you wish someone had told you 20 years ago? They both see. I've got two sons. They both see that it's not a financial thing. What would I have told them? Oh no, look, just that they have to love it. I'm not sure whether I was told that at that time. I spent a lot of kind of my early music career being kind of very serious about it. I sound a little bit serious now, but it's only because I'm struggling to breathe. There's grass seeds everywhere. No, I was very earnest and serious about it. But thankfully, my children don't seem to have that. I don't think I kind of did much until my kids turned up. I was 25 when I was 26 when my first child came along, and I just was in retrospect very fortunate that it happened at that age. I was just such a serious fart, so yeah. Look, every man, woman, and his dog plays in a band, so you have to love it. You have to really enjoy it, and don't take it too seriously, and don't rely on it to make a single dollar. Really, that's probably advice I never got, but. But I'm probably glad I didn't. I wouldn't have listened to it anyway. Yeah.
Probably just said, "Who cares, old man?" and just walked on. It's the nature of the beast.
Talk about the song "Bring In the Archaeologist." So, reading the media release on the record, you mentioned you'd never heard of any other song with the word archaeologist in it, or any song about archaeologists. You've achieved that on this record. Do you like to set yourself little personal challenges like that when writing a song?
I think, John, that might have been said more for something to say in the press release by me, so it's my fault. But I mean, I think that was an afterthought. That actually, there isn't a song about archaeologists. This has turned out okay, but it was. I kind of flipped between a few radio stations here in Melbourne. John, I'm sorry. Whereabouts is this station? Whereabouts are you?
Casey Radio. We're out in the outer southeast.
Oh, okay. Beg your pardon. Sorry, I've been doing a few of these things. So, so I was listening. Yeah, so I flick around between a few stations, and I think it would have been Radio National and Ramona Kovar and the Book Show, and she was interviewing someone about some particular archaeological dig, and so she, at one point in time she said, right, well, okay, look, it's time, let's bring in the archaeologists, as in let's talk about them, and I just happened to kind of have the guitar in my hand, you know what I mean? I just happened to kind of sing that line, and the way that you hear it now is the first, way that it sounded like it should be sung, and then I probably would have gone backwards and tried to figure out, okay, so if I'm bringing in archaeologists, why would I be bringing in archaeologists? And I would realize, that they would be digging for, whatever treasure, and whatever the lyric is, you say my love is dead and buried, I can prove you wrong. So it just seemed to flow really easily, and it just took me an afternoon really to kind of. And I remember doing the demo and the instrumental bit, the Who kind of kinks like chord progressions that you hear in the middle eight were the first thing that that came to mind, and it sounds like that, but no, it was a fun song to do, and intended, written and recorded, and see, of course, sorry, not of course, but my intention when we went away to do the record at Willaroo was that it would be the hidden track. It makes sense for a song about archaeologists to be the song buried at the end of the record.
Of course.
But the rest of the band, and particularly the producer, said, no, don't be stupid. And it's interesting the way these things work. Like Lisa Miller once told me, certain songs, well, the tape, should I say, loves certain songs. The recording device loves certain songs, and so therefore it doesn't take a shine or take too kindly sometimes to other ones. And there were a couple of songs that I had really high hopes on that never just kind of took flight for one reason or another. An archaeologist that was just going to be the hidden track at the end of it, muscled its way up further. So, but I've learnt to not worry about those things too, I suppose, because I've been in that situation before. And if you really got to fight to hold on to a song, then something's not right. It should be easy.
You've conducted a few songwriting workshops. How much does teaching the art of songwriting end up turning around and helping you become a better writer?
So end up what, John? Helping
you become a better writer yourself.
Oh, I see. A huge amount. I would reckon. It again kind of keeps me in the zone, as it were. That's a terrible expression. Keeps me kind of thinking about songwriting. It keeps because I don't want pure drivel coming out of my mouth at all times. So I'd like to be able to impart some form of information that may be a benefit to these people that I'm running these workshops for or with. So it kind of makes me read a little bit more about songwriting. It makes me read a bit more about the whole creative process. It makes me listen, more widely to as much as I can. And all the things that I tell these budding songwriters to do, I realize, well, shit, I'd better do the same. I am guilty of, in the past kind of letting the third verse slip a little and things like that. But I kind of point out to people that, you will write a lot of songs if you're serious about it, and a lot of the songs will kind of, very few, actually, it kind of turns out that very few of them actually get recorded, and even fewer of them make it onto a radio station, and even fewer of them will make it as a hit. And you don't really know that too much when you're kind of in the thick of it, with that particular song. So you really got to make everything count, because you don't want whatever song it is that becomes a hit to haunt you. You don't want to think, oh, this third verse is just so appalling, and here I am singing it for the 400th time. So those kind of things that I experiences slowly banged into my head after years. But in answer to the question, yes, I find it very beneficial for all of those reasons. A lot of these musicians that I work with, because I kind of work. Yeah, there's a couple couple of different sides to the workshops that I do, but I'll just talk about the up-and-coming songwriters that I work with. They're beautiful musicians and incredible singers, and I kind of point out to them, look, you've taken 10 years or whatever working at your trade, at your guitar playing, or 10 years, whatever, working on your singing. You can't expect to just kind of say, I have to be a songwriter because that's what management says, and that's what society kind of demands of performers these days. You have to expect to kind of work another 10 years, I would assume, to kind of get anywhere, to be of any level of worth.
You've got some distribution with EMI on this record. Are you seeing the benefits of some major label backing there at all with this?
It's in more stores, yes. So that's the answer to the question, yeah. And they've been really good. I mean, it turns out the head of distribution is a big fan, because I've been hanging around for in one spot too long. Eventually, you attract people. So yeah, the head of he's a big fan and was very happy to help, perhaps above and beyond what he's obliged to do contractually. The head of distribution is an old school Charles Jenkins fan and loves Blue Atlas, and so yeah, they've been good. They've been great, and there's plenty of I'm not really into kind of putting out a record on a Friday and doing a launch on a Saturday and then doing Sydney the next week and Brisbane and whatnot, and then that's it. You know what I mean? I like. It took me a couple of years to write the record, and even though it took us 14 days to mix and record, those 14 days were spread out over 6 months. So, it's been like a easily over 2-year project, and so I'm happy for it to kind of have a bit of a shelf life. So
yeah,
we're doing a few things. We're actually playing on Saturday night at Yaya's in Collingwood. That's our first gig together as a band for Lord knows how long. I think maybe since the Winter Ball or something. So, 5 months. So, yes, the shelf life of the record. So I like to, we won't be touring it, nationally until 3rd March or something like that. So, yeah, it's good to let these things kind of, gather a little bit of steam before they eventually peter out.
That's right. Make it last.
Yes, thank you.
Absolutely.
I wish I had said that instead of that long ramble.
Hey, Charles, thanks so much for your time. I'm going to let you go and drink a bucket of water now. I'm sure that'll help.
I'm good now. You can tell it. You can tell I'm good. Sorry, I should have just put down the lawnmower a little bit earlier than what I did. So I apologise to you and all your listeners for that first 10 minutes of that coughing.
No problem. Thank you.
But it's lovely to talk to you, and thank you, and thanks for your time.
Congratulations once again. We're enjoying it immensely.
Oh, great. Thanks so much. That's great to hear.
All the best, Charles.
All right, you too. Bye-bye.
Cheers.